Good morning. Good morning. I am so pumped up this morning because this Tuesday, everybody write this down, July 13th at 8:06 a.m. Central Time, the Time to Shine Happiness Show with the BBs are going to be on every Tuesday on the Diamond Factor Experience Show. Yes, I wish I had balloons and streamers right now. I really do. I wish I did because I'm telling you, my co-host, I just love her dearly, and she basically came together. I kind of asked her and asked her again, would she be willing to come on? And then we just do our show every Tuesday here on the Diamond Factor Experience. So I'm loving it. We're going to be coming on. In fact, I'm bringing her on in a minute. But I had to do, I always got to do my little intro first. Welcome everybody in. Say happy Tuesday and all that good stuff. Usually I have some positive. I always give each other a positive vibe before we start the show, but I wanted to come on just to give you the excitement, just to start the excitement that we are coming together on the Diamond Factor Experience Show with Barbara Beckley experts. And believe me, Barbara Ellis is an expert extraordinaire. Extraordinaire. So with that, I'm not, I don't want to keep her waiting. I just want to kind of do that little intro. Remember, as I always ask, we come on, all the experts come on the Diamond Factor Show. They give their time, they give you some good information, some skills, I always say golden nuggets, but I like to say diamond nuggets since, this is like the diamond show, get it. And don't take it, in vain. Please reach out. These are coaches. These are CEOs of their own company. These are consultants, mentors that come on, and they want to help you. So even if you say, well, Barbara, I really don't need you or the other Barbara or Barry or whatever right now. I said, but you don't know who does. You have friends, you have family that might need us, to work with us. So take down information, contact us, reach out to us. We're here for you. That's what the show is all about, is helping, motivating, educating, and giving awareness. Those are three main things I say about this show. And then I keep going and we're giving you that value. So with that said, we're going to do my little intro. Then we're going to get right into myself and the wonderful, awesome Barbara Ellis. I can't wait. Let's see. Here we go. I'm looking for, here we go. Hello, my wonderful co-host.
Hello. You know what? I always love watching those little intros. And we've come a long way since we first started this show a year ago and called it the Happiness 101 Show.
I remember that.
Right. Because that's where we were. We were just starting.
Yeah.
And now it's a year. It was a year at the beginning of June. And now we're the time to shine happiness show,
Yes.
because this is, and take it on yourself. This is your time to shine. It is time to make your mark in the world. It is time to make a difference
Yes.
in your area of expertise. And that's what we talk about. I'm
Yes.
so excited to be here. And now, I mean, now we're branching out into even more things.
Yes, lady. Yes, it's time. Our show has been just so awesome on Tuesdays. I've been getting a lot. I get feedback. We get a lot of people, and we bring a lot. You bring, well, I say you bring a lot of guests into our show because that's
We're
what
a
you do.
team,
You work hard to do that. And I'm telling you, Barbara, it's time for people. Like you said, I always love what you say. Your motto is to make happiness the norm and not the norm of life. And that's what's needed. So
right?
I'm glad that you're part of this network now. We're gonna be
I,
doing it on Tuesdays a little bit earlier, but that's
yeah,
okay. Yeah, we
this
have a
works
lot.
for me. I'm an
Yeah,
early riser.
I know
So,
you are. I need to get with the program with you. I'm forcing myself, but that's in a good way because when you do something like we always say, Bar, when we do something that we're passionate about and that
right.
we believe in, then it shouldn't be a problem. It's like you just
Yeah,
do it. You automatically.
right. And
Yeah.
just I look back on, here we are in 2021, and I have to tell you, this is going to be a fun thing, because last week, a friend of mine and I, we went to LeClaire, Iowa, and we went through the Buffalo Bill Museum.
Mhm.
And they just had, they had a one-room schoolhouse, I think it was an actual one-room schoolhouse, and just all sorts of historical things. Well, one of the pictures on the wall was the rules for teachers. And I truly believe that you and I, in many ways, are teachers, because
Ooh.
we are teaching people how to progress, how to move forward, how to get unstuck. The criteria might be different. We're not teaching, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Doesn't that take you back?
Oh, yeah.
Reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Oh
And
my
now they
God.
don't teach it. In fact, I had a conversation the other day about learning now. That the new math, I have no clue how to do it. I don't know how to add with the new math. They're not teaching phonetics, so people don't know how to sound out words.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, oh, okay, and I was talking to a couple of teachers, but some of the things that we have just really come a long way. So, are you ready for the rules of the 1915 rules
Yeah, I
for
know you
teaching?
sent it to me.
You're ready
Okay.
for it? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, rule number one: you will not marry during your term of contract. You are not to keep company with men. You must be home between the hours of 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. unless attending a school function. You may not loiter downtown in ice cream stores. That one I roared. I laughed. It was so hard.
Well,
What's
yeah. Well,
an ice
okay.
cream store?
Okay. Wait. Let's stop for a minute because I'm because
The first four are like, oh, brother,
okay.
I'm in deep doo doo.
Well, yeah, I would have been fired or got in trouble already because I'm like, okay, first of all, you will not marry during the term of your contract.
Contract.
What?
You could not be married if you were a teacher. And I have to tell you, my mom back in the day, I mean, she worked for the Canadian Pacific Railroad. And until she got married, she worked for them. As soon as she got married, she had to leave. She couldn't You could not be married and work for the railroad. And
OMG.
so a couple of her friends were married and then hid it for years. And then all of a sudden, of course, they got pregnant and then had to admit and then produce their marriage license that they had been married.
Uh,
And
wow.
I look back on some of the stories that my mom would tell us, that, oh, yike, we've come a long way.
Yes, I mean a
So,
long way.
ladies, ladies, really take pride in the fact that you are able to do what you are doing.
Yes, definitely.
I just loved it.
Well, the
So
other thing that I'm looking at is what about the ice cream stores? That's what I'm thinking. I don't understand. I'm trying to comprehend why they had a problem with ice
exactly,
cream stores.
what was their thinking? That's what the whole conversation was about. When I read it, I went, ice cream stores. Why would that be considered, inappropriate?
Yeah.
No clue. No clue. I just, but this was back in 1915, before the women's movement, before suffragettes, or maybe they were just getting started. Um,
Hmm.
and
You think the ice cream stores kind of alluded to, because with back in the day, I know they had probably the fountain. I mean, you sit, or
yep,
whatever.
sitting at
I
the
guess it may
fountain.
be.
But you know what? Now that you're mentioning that, I should research why were women not allowed. Well, in an ice cream store. Although I'm Canadian,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
and
A little bit different.
women were not allowed in taverns, ever, ever. You were not allowed in a tavern. And so then, in order to change the vibe of women not being allowed in taverns, because they realized this was an untapped market, that men wanted to bring their wives for dinner and things, so they made them into brasseries. And we had, like, they were more of an open air type restaurant that had patios and those kinds of things, so they made them into brasseries. And it was like, oh, and now we can go anywhere. And yet I remember when my first husband and I got married, and we lived near Detroit. And he took me to this place. He said, oh, let's go to, and I don't remember the name of it. And he said, let's go. And I walked in the door and I looked around. I said, David, Freudian slip, second husband, first husband. I looked at him. I said, Al, I'm not allowed in here. This is a tavern. He said, well, yeah, it's a tavern. I said, yeah, but I'm not allowed in here. And it was like, it freaked me out. And he's like, what? I said, we're not allowed. I'm not allowed in here. This is a tavern.
Hmm.
And it was just, how things have changed.
So because is what in Canada you couldn't be. So then
Women
when
were,
you came to US, it was like a whole nother.
when it was just such a
Wow.
different thing
I
that
know that was dirt. Now I'm thinking, because remember last week I just know that I didn't even know that you were Canadian.
Canadian.
And I'm like, oh, and that's why I said, I mean, I love my Canadian people. That's why we get along so well too. I mean, that just was added to the mix. And I
Exactly.
know, I'm just thinking, you coming from there, Barbara,
Mhm.
and then coming to the United States and seeing such, like you said, even that small difference with
And
that.
that small difference.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you another thing. One of the things, we were not allowed to have drive-in movies. So the drive in Quebec, in the province of Quebec where I lived, we were not allowed to have drive-in movies. So the drive-in movies were literally on the border. So we
Wow.
but we had to cross the border to go into New York to go to the drive-in movie. And at the border crossing, they knew what was playing at the drive-in. What's playing at the drive-in? And they would tell us what's playing at because there was I think there was one or two drive-ins right on the border, but the screens were in the US.
Wow.
So we had to literally cross the border to
Across the
go to
border.
the drive-in. And and people, and I had, until this moment, I had forgotten that. It was like, oh yeah, we couldn't go to the drive-in movie. We didn't have them, but they did. We crossed the border to go to the drive-in.
Wow.
So little things like that you just, now we absolutely take for granted. And now drive-in movies are, I think there's one or two around still. I mean, there is one fairly near me that's until last year it was open, but just how things change,
Yes.
how things have loosened, and so many good things, and yet, I mean, some of the things that are not quite so good, where kids now
Yes.
have lost the art of conversation.
Hmm. Oh yeah, it's
You're
totally,
losing the art of conversation.
totally. I'm just every time I still want to understand how they can text or they can get just and they're right on the phone and then you say call me. I need you to call. I'm saying that I said, can you just call me on this? It'd be much easier. Let's get things. And they're like, no, I'm talking to you now in the text. I said, but you're on the phone and all you have to do is hit another button.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And like with me, my grandchildren, we all live together. And
Hmm.
one day I came down and four of them were sitting in the living room and they were like this. What are you doing? Oh, we're playing a game. They were all playing the same game. They were playing with each other,
On the
but they were
phone.
all like this
On the phone. I
on the
mean,
phone.
yeah. And they
And
have
I'm
those
like,
games too where you can connect with each other and play
oh
a game
yeah.
with each other on the phone. And it's like you're silent and you're thinking, okay, why are they all in there separate? But they're really talking amongst each other on the phone.
But they're talking exactly. Exactly. And it looks one day my niece, she said, "Oh, it's dinner time." She picked up her phone and a minute later her kids came down the stairs and it was because she texted them, "It's dinner time." My mom would yell up the stairs, "It's dinner
Well, see, when you think about it, Barbara, when we now we're both
Let's
aging
age
ourselves. I know
ourselves a bit."
I mean there was no thing called a cell phone when I was growing up at
Exactly.
all. I mean
We
we had
had
to like do
one
the
phone.
dial. We had to do
We
the
had one phone,
dial. Yeah, one phone.
and I'm gonna really tell on myself. When I was growing up, when we first moved out to where we lived, where then when I lived, until I got married, we had when we first got phone service, we had a party line. We shared a phone with the family across the street, and we had our own ring. Talk about Mayberry. Open, and people have no concept of it. And of course, we had one phone, and it was in the central part of the house, and the extension was 20 feet, and we were allowed 10 minutes on the phone.
Mhm.
That was it. And my
Wow.
dad set a timer. We were allowed
What you
on the
say? You
phone.
kept the timer.
Well, there was four girls,
Was it? Yeah, you had.
and
That's so
so
silly.
there was we had a timer.
See that that it's we always look at like you said, Barbara, the evolution. I have to
Yeah,
say of how things change from when we were like you said we grew up into now. Then we get in our 20s and our 30s and our 40s and our 50s and like I
yeah,
said we keep moving. That we just see the difference. Like I talk to. It always amazes me when I talk to the younger groups of young adults
yeah,
and they're because they grew up with computers, they grew up with the
yeah.
cell phones, and we didn't grow up with that. And when I started telling them no, we didn't have a cell, there was no such thing as a cell phone. In fact, there was no such thing as a computer.
Oh,
I told them
right,
I said our computer was typewriters, and it
right.
wasn't the electronic ones either. I didn't start with
No,
electronic ones.
no, exactly. And now I can answer my phone on my watch.
Yeah. No, in fact, Barbara, just take it more so. You can look at a TV show or at whatever on your watch
It's
or
on my
in
watch.
your phone or whatever. It's like and TV's not even now that we're talking about this whole difference. Even TV is different than it used to be. Like right now, there's so many TV streaming shows like this.
Right,
Where this regular TV is like, okay, what's that? Yeah.
right. Oh, exactly. And I have
Yeah.
to admit, I haven't watched regular TV in years. I stream because then I can pick and choose what I want. Some of the shows are a little too risque for me. I don't like the language, so
Yeah.
consequently, I can pick and choose what I want to watch.
Hmm.
But back to what we talk about, that's why it is so important for you to get your message out,
Yeah. Yes.
because we have all of these options. And what you can do is stand out in your niche and let Barb and I help you to do that, because you're a social media expert. I'm a personality science trainer. You can take what you learned from BB1, I'm BB2, we just, we had to differentiate between the two of us. And that is what is so much fun.
Yeah,
because you can take what one person teaches you, go to the next person and take it to the next level again. Like one of the things, like I work with entrepreneurial, heart-centered entrepreneurial speakers to engage and connect with more of their audience. And we can do that through personality science. And, and people say, personality science? We all have a personality. Every one of us. So when you can connect with all the different personalities, that's going to increase your impact, your influence, and consequently your income. And that's what we're here for. I mean, that's part of it. Like you said at the beginning, I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. Well, part of happiness is being able to provide for our families.
Yes,
so
definitely.
why not take your message and get it out there to really impact the people who need to hear from you? Because it's not just about you or me or BB1. It's about us as a humanity, has to make a difference in the world.
Yes, yeah.
Because we can't do life on our own.
No, I keep telling people. See, that's why I love. I'm like you, Barbara. You taught me well. You taught me well last year when our story of how our show got put together.
Let's talk about that.
Because I was really, you know me, I always want to give visibility and help, especially women, get out there and people know who they are. So, I came to you, I came to a few other ladies, and I was like, well, this was when it's under the Diamond Factor, which is the Diamond Factor group is still up there in Facebook, but I'm just
but you've grown.
But I grew.
And congratulations to that. Yeah, that's amazing where you have gone in a year.
Yeah, I was determined. I was determined. Yep. And I'll never, going back to our story first real quickly. Yep. So when when I asked you, I reached out to you and other ladies, you were like, well, I don't mind doing it, Bar. I love to be on the platform, but I don't want to be just me. Just me. I would like to have a co-host. And I was like, oh, but I want you to, because I was so, me, I was like, no, Barbara, I want you to be out there. It's all about you and your show and stuff. You like, no. And then you asked me to be your co-host. First, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it because I love Barbara. And I said, but I still want her. I said, she doesn't know this, but I'm going to be inching away little by little so she could be on. She doesn't know this. This was behind the scenes. You didn't know that.
Okay.
You didn't know that. I was like, I want to inch away a little bit, and then she's gonna be like, she's all her and her guests. And then we started the shows, and I was like, okay, I don't want to inch away. I want to stay on.
Exactly.
And it became this. Now, Barbara, it's like now I don't even feel right without you being. It's like it's like if you're not there, I'm like, but I still move forward because we got to do it. And if you're just on there with the guests, I'm like, I want to be there. That's how it is now. And thanks to you, but that just shows that collaboration is the key, and that helps. And you could take two wonderful ladies like ourselves, and we're both wonderful, and what we do, and put us together and make it more powerful and help more people. Yeah.
Exactly. And I can remember you kept saying to me, no, Barb, no, just you do it. And I finally said to you, Barb, you know that I am a personality science trainer. Let me tell you about me. Part of me, I am what is called a high nurturer. Nurturers, we like being part of a team. We like being part of a community. We do not particularly like doing things on our own. And I said, Barb, I'm a high nurturer. I don't particularly like doing things on my own. I will, absolutely, and I have no problem with it. But I have to tell you that if you're not going to be my co-host, I am going to find a co-host because this is something that I know, and that's part of knowing who you are.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Who are you? And don't try to live somebody else's life. Find out who you are. Who are you with? And one of my favorite things to work with clients, who are you within what you do? And what you just said is absolutely the truth. Look at how much you have blossomed since we've been doing this show. And I'm going to take partial credit for that.
Oh no, you're gonna take a lot of more than partial credit for it. I'm gonna tell you that. Let's really be real here. Like I tell people, I give credit, a lot of credit where credit's due. If it wasn't for you starting, if it wasn't for you pushing me to be your co-host, if it wasn't for you to always be on, a lot of times accountability too is really important. And you have held me accountable through this whole year. I'm still working on being on time. It's gonna be It's gonna be open and honest. I mean, I'm still working on that. You're very good at that. See, that's why I say people complement each other.
Exactly.
Hopefully some things I helped you with, but mostly I'm telling all the stuff that you helped me with. But but I'm just saying, Barbara, that helps make it even stronger.
Right.
So no, you get a lot of credit, a lot of
credit. Exactly. And on your side of it, we started with this show, but now I have 2 others.
No, I'm like, you're like. We're talking about corporate type of stuff. I'm like, oh my God. I said, look up, Barbara's here. Then I looked over there, Barbara's over there. Then Barbara was like, I can't keep up with you.
Exactly. And the thing is that it really, when you find, it helps you to find doing this show has helped me to find who I am and what I want. Awesome. I now know that I want to be a speaker. And that I want to work with speakers to help them get their message out there so that they can engage and connect with speakers. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a stage speaker, but there are a lot of entrepreneurs that work within companies and have to do presentations.
Yeah.
And when you hear some of the people, it's like, yeah, they need to learn how to engage it's like, oh, it's so boring or whatever, because but you know what? It doesn't have to be. If you can touch on the things that the other personalities value, you can have an engaging audience. And when you engage your audience, and so let's talk about sales for a moment, because you know what? Hey, everybody is in sales, whether you're trying to talk to your child about cleaning up their room or the person that's lying beside you at night. You have to get along with them and how to engage them in what you want, what the things that need to be going on in life.
Yes.
Well, if you're in a work environment, you have employees that clash. Okay, let's find out, why are you clashing? Because that's one of the things that I like to do is, okay, let's find out which personalities, and and then I love when I see the light bulb go on and people say, oh, that's why I do that.
Yes,
that's why you do that.
Mm-hmm. The aha moments.
Those aha moments, because then you know who you are within yourself. And when you know who you are within yourself, you are much more willing to understand somebody else, who they are. Like the thing that I know and love about you is that time is, you're working on it.
I'm working on it. I am. I tell people, I said, pray for me. And Barbara prays for me. We're working on it.
But that's part of your personality. That's one of the traits of your personality. And because I totally understand it, it doesn't bother me. It's like, oh, well, yeah.
Barbara's been very gracious to me and giving me a lot of grace. but she knows when to put the hammer down too. And I do appreciate that, because you're helping me out. But Barbara, before we keep going, we got to give our sponsors a little love here. So
okay, let's do it.
Let's give the sponsors some love here.
We'll come back with a few more rules.
Yeah.
Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry
Yes.
weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running, 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada, and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who without Mrs. B might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the
We are back.
Wow. Yeah.
And you know,
Something so big.
yes, and one of the sponsors that we have help Heal Humanity with, well,
Yeah.
I love her, Mrs. B. That's another her last name, and she's from Canada. And I met her through another acquaintance that I interviewed. I've interviewed both of them, and I loved her cause of what she's doing, helping the
Right.
children and the homeless and everything, and building so much just from a
Right.
little group. So I told her, I said, you know what, I'm sponsoring you on the show, and I want to make sure that people understand, and help them out. So she's going to be on. In fact, I'm probably going to bring her on when we have our show, and then we get to you get to know her. We can get to
Absolutely.
yeah. So just to let you know, that's coming. That's
Yeah.
coming.
Absolutely. And and that's that's the beauty of it. That's the
Yes.
beauty of it, is that because we are all connected. We're all connected.
Yeah.
And truly, I believe that, as awful as 2020 was, terrible year.
Yeah.
However, so much connection has come out of it, because now we have international audiences.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And now it will not go back in the box.
No.
It will not go back in the box. It is just, the box is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and adding more and more stories and missions and sources of revenue.
Yes.
Because you know what?
Definitely.
Money is a tool. Money
Yeah.
is a tool, and it makes the world go around.
Makes the
So
world go.
the more money that all of us entrepreneurs have, the more we can do. When you have a heart-centered business, to love what you do. I know this man, his name is Steve Farber. To love what you do in the service of people who love what you do.
Yes. Yeah.
And that impacts the world.
Mm-hmm.
So let's think bigger. People, let's
Yes.
think bigger.
And you know what, Barbara? You're talking about that box. I always say, kick the box out. Get rid of the box. I don't even want to see a box.
We're not in the box.
Yes.
Exactly. The sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm.
The sky is absolutely the limit. There is no limit. There is no limit to what we can do.
Yeah. The only limit, like we always say, Barbara, is us limiting ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's what's between it, the distance between here and here.
Yeah.
And it's probably about this size. That's the amygdala. That in our little pea, I always call it, so it's in my little pea brain. My little pea brain.
To say it too. It's a little pea brain.
My little pea brain. Whatever you can imagine, you can have, because we are all connected.
Yeah.
The universe is connected. And whether you believe in God or not, or whatever you call that force, if you call it the force, or like in my case, it's God, or whatever, that divine being, that whatever you want to call it, you have to when you get in touch with that and you become aware of it, like the part of the law of attraction, because you will attract what you put out there.
Yes.
So when you get in touch with that divine being, that divine force, it'll come to you. Everything that you could possibly think or want or imagine will come to you, because you're open to it.
Yes.
And everything in the world, this piece of paper that I'm holding up, the fact that we are on a computer, that we are doing live interviews, you're in Wisconsin, I'm in Illinois, all of this started with a thought. And a lot of it started with Steve Jobs in his garage that said, I want to build a personal sized computer. And like we talked about before, we now have computers on our watches. But it started with a thought. What thought do you have? Because chances are, out of the 7 billion people on this planet, someone else has had the same thought. So let's collaborate and get it out there.
Ooh. Well put. See, that's why I love my coffee. Uh-oh.
That was my alarm for telling me to go on the Time to Shine Happiness show.
Oh,
because we've changed the time.
I was like, uh-oh, time up.
I'm gonna have to take that alarm off. Okay, I'm gonna tell on myself. If I don't set alarms.
Oh yeah. Well, you're like me. You know how some people say they have an inner alarm where they automatically. No, I can't do that. I need to set an alarm. Yes.
I set, because for me, I get caught up in stuff I'm doing, especially if it's when you love what you do. I'll be caught up in doing what I'm doing, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh darn, I missed. I set alarms. So everything goes on my calendar, and I set an alarm.
Now, so that's good. So do you also set alarms, like, say for instance, you're working on a project and you'd be like, okay, I'm only going to work 2 hours or an hour on this. Do you set alarm for that too?
Oh, I set an alarm for every 50 minutes if I'm in the middle of a project, because it's to stand up. You must.
Mm,
Okay, this is my wellness tip of the day. Do not sit for longer than 45 minutes, an hour tops.
mm,
Stand up. I don't care if you just stand up, stretch, and sit back down again. Make
yeah,
sure that you stand up.
okay.
It is so important. And for you ladies, it is great for anti-aging. It will help to prevent aging.
Mm,
Must
I definitely
do
understand
it.
that.
We must do it. Stand up. It is so good for your body. And then the other thing. So I might add to my wellness tip of the day. My other thing is write for 10 minutes with your opposite hand.
Oh God, Barb, you always say that it's so difficult.
Exactly.
Like
And that's the point of it, because it's exercising your brain. Your
oh,
brain has to work at writing with your opposite hand. Do something with your opposite hand. Brush your teeth, brush your hair, write. I tend to write with my opposite hand because, number one, I have to write anyways. I write down thoughts. So what the stuff that comes into my brain, okay, I have to write that down anyways. It's practice. So not only are you're making neural pathways in your brain, it's you're exercising your brain so it doesn't age.
mm. See, the thing is, though, Barbara, when I write with the other hand, I can't understand anything that I
It
write.
doesn't matter. It doesn't
Oh,
matter.
just keep doing it, huh? Okay.
It doesn't matter if you can understand it, because now I can actually write, and it's like sometimes I look and go, ooh, what was that? No clue. But it's the practice. Because it's not okay. Another lesson. There are lead indicators and there are lag indicators. Okay. So a lead indicator is something you do without really you just doing it. You're just doing it. You're just doing it. You're just doing it. And you're not worried about the result.
Okay.
This is one of those. Writing with your opposite hand is one of those, because you are just writing for the sake, because you are exercising your brain. It doesn't matter that you can't read it. It doesn't matter that you go but look back and it's gibberish. That doesn't matter. It's the practice that's the important part.
Okay.
That's the lead indicator. Now, when you have a business, so like this is one of the things that I teach. When you have a business, your only job is to put your message out there. That's it. You put your message out there. It doesn't matter what comes back to you, because sometimes people will come back to you years later. You don't look at the results. Your only job every day is to put your message out there. And when I finally took that to heart for myself, it was, Barbara, I love doing this show. And then it was like, Barbara, well, you need to get your message out there more. So my girlfriend Pat and I started the second show. And then she was tragically killed. And I had a choice at that moment to either go on, continue to do it, but I got another co-host.
That quick? I was like, God is good.
Well, it was, you know what? It was God's blessing to me that he was already scheduled to be on the show as a guest the weekend that Pat was killed. So we just came on. I just said to him, I said, Jason, will you come on and we'll just talk about the fact that Pat is no longer with us, that she's been tragically killed. And he went, oh, I would love to. So we talked about loss, and we talked about going on after loss. And it was just such a wonderful show. And he is very compassionate. And so he talked.
I was on the show. Yeah, you and him really gel really well. I love being on your show. That was
gel well. And then from that, it was like, hey, Barbie, you need to get your message out there more. About your mission, because it's one thing because we have all parts of us. We have what we love to do for our business, but we also have our overlying mission. What's the big thing that we want to do? That's scary. That big, audacious, hairy goal. like one of my things is I want to build a foundation and call it the Asana Ranch. And it is going to be, and it's going to be in honor of Pat, because this is one of the things that we talked about. This was our dream, that we were going to build this big ranch. It was going to be on hundreds of acres, and we were going to have a part that was for veterans, for rehabilitation if they've lost limbs.
Yeah.
We were going to have a retreat center for entrepreneurs that were stuck and burnt out because they were in the wrong businesses.
Yeah.
They weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, and they were either committing suicide or they were just absolutely falling apart and not being able to function. And then we also wanted to have a part for children, families with children to come, and it was going to be called Adventure Farms, for them to come and connect. And that's my big overall, because my overall mission is to make happiness the norm. So when you can impact the world, so that's my overlying mission. Hey, and one day Pat and I, we sat there and we said, well, we would need $15 million to buy the property and get the foundation set up. And so one day we were sitting there, it was like, well, what would we need? And we looked at each other and said, well, all we need is 15 millionaires. That's it. 15 millionaires. So now, and it was like, all right, so let's talk about what we want to do. And so we started talking about it. And that's where the next show that I do is called Barbara and Friends on a Mission. We talk about what their mission is.
Wow.
Because, we all, if you don't put it out there, nobody is going to know.
Yeah. And then it reminds you, like what you always say, write it down, keep telling yourself. So it reminds you, okay, this is my mission, and keep focused. That's what I always tell people.
Put it out there. And I think the biggest thing too is quit beating yourself up for the stuff you're not doing. Yeah. Look at the little steps that you are doing.
Yes.
Because one of my favorite things to say is you never know who is listening. You never know who's listening. And they might not, but they might say, oh, I have a friend that would love to do that. And all it takes, so like in my case, all I need is 15 millionaires. 15 people to donate $1 million each.
You know what? I'm glad you said this, Barbara. So we need to really work, help you with that mission. It's so important to have everything you talked about. I'm like, wow, that is awesome.
That's my big, hairy, audacious, that scares the living daylights out of me to think that I'm putting it out there into the universe. But you know what? We all have one.
Yes.
That's the thing. We all have one. That little inkling that we feel, that we know that we're supposed to be doing something big. That's why we're here. We are a spirit having a human experience. What are we here for? Ooh. And when it'll start as one little seed.
Yeah.
And then because like one day it started, like that was one of my things that I wanted to build. I started with an adventure farm, that I wanted to do something with kids and to have them come and learn skills and personality skills. And so get them out of the cookie cutter school system.
Yes.
School is a cookie cutter system. And, they want everybody to be a chocolate chip cookie. Well, not all kids are a chocolate chip cookie. Some kids are snickerdoodles. Some kids, So the school system is broken.
Yeah.
And the end of that subject. I can get really on my high horse of that.
I know, that's a whole nother show.
That's one of the things that we should do. We should bring on some teachers. You
know what, Barbara? Yeah, let's do that. I think that's a really good idea.
On some teachers, just to see the ones that are making a difference. Mm-hmm. The ones that are making a difference. So, anyways, but that's why it's so important to get your message out there. And so, okay, I got to share this one thing from this 1915 rules for teachers.
Okay. I got to pull it back up because I have it.
You may not travel beyond the city limits unless you have permission of the school board. And I loved this one. You may not ride in a carriage or an automobile with any man unless he is your father or brother.
They sure was against men.
Oh yeah, yeah, because they were guarding the chastity of women.
Okay.
You may not smoke cigarettes. This was my thing. Oh heavens, I would have been
Oh,
charged.
you'd be in trouble.
You may not dress in bright colors.
Barbara,
I wear my bright colors and my dangly earrings, which I forgot to put on today. And this one, my grandmother, you must wear 2 petticoats.
oh, oh,
And now here
so
we
uncomfortable.
are wearing, you know,
Some people not wearing.
that spandex should be banned and for some people.
Yeah, you're so right. Your dress
And so
must not be.
it's
Oh, okay, I see. To the ankle. Wow.
and 2 inches above the ankle. But one of the ones from 1872, and this was for men. Okay. Where is it?
Let's see. I have it here.
This is for a man. Any teacher who smokes, uses liquor in any form, frequents pool or public halls, or gets shaved in a barber shop, it will be good reason to suspect his worth, his intention, his integrity, and his honesty. If you do any of those things, that goes against your intention, your integrity, and your honesty. Okay,
what does shaving have to do with?
What does shaving in a barbershop have to do with integrity?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's crazy.
And then, but the final one that I loved, the teacher who performs his labor faithfully and without fault for 5 years will be given an increase of 25 cents per week, providing the Board of Education approves.
Well, back then, like we said in 1872, 25 cents was
probably
rich.
was a fortune.
Yeah, it was a fortune. It was a fortune.
And now people drop a quarter and don't even pick it up.
I know. Look at how the value of currency has changed. That's a whole nother show. Look at that. I'm hearing all these topics in my head that we could do. But yeah, that's
and that comes from collaborating, Barb. That comes back to collaborating. That's why it is so important to collaborate, because it sparks ideas.
Yes.
It sparks ideas, and it is from the source of, that's where all ideas come from.
Yeah. Because half of the things that I think about, even with this show alone, as an example, because we get together, the experts, and Barbara's a part of it now. She's a part of the whole expert group for Diamond Factor. Every month we get together on a Zoom and we talk about numbers, of course, the views, and then get other ideas of how we could, maybe do something different or change up some things, or somebody's show might not be getting. Maybe we can help each other out. So, like you said, Barbara, that's where all the juices flow. And Barbara, I can't think of all that. I'm not that intelligent to do all that. So when we come together,
we're not God. Yeah. We're not God. God sees it all.
Yeah.
We're not divine source, but he sees it all.
So so that's why I need help in different areas. We need help in different areas. Yeah. So it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. Wow. We got 1 minute. I just sit an hour. I just looked at the time. Barbara. And we were just talking earlier about, should we do an hour, 30 minutes? Wow. Well, before we sign off for today, Barbara, I just want I put down 2 things that's going through on the banner, under the banner.
Yeah.
So you can explain the 2 things for everybody, because I want them. That's another thing we do, is we make sure that people, that what we do, so you can reach out to us. So Barbara, explain the 2 links and then we'll go from there.
Okay. The first one that says Personality Pro 2, that is a free personality assessment. Remember we talked about before, know who you are. Know who you are, because when you know who you are, no one can take that away from you. So important. No one can take it away from you. So get to know who you are. And that's a first step. And one of the exercises that I have people do is pick out 1 or 2 of each one of the values, and to see why you are that. And it's just a great way. Then the next thing is the Be Connected Fast. that's where we have all of, you can look at how to find out more about personality science, how to learn more, how to see the process of, because it is a step-by-step process, and it's a skill that can be learned. And we are more than willing to teach you. We have training, and we've got a big event coming up. It's called the a summit, and I would love, and reach out to me directly, and I will put you in. It's a 2-day summit, and it's going to be all about how to put personality, because we have to deal with personality. We all have one
every day.
every day, every day.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have to know the person looking back at you in the mirror.
Yeah.
And it starts there.
It
starts there.
Wonderful. Well, Barbara, this has been awesome and amazing. Our first day on the TV streaming show with the Diamond Factor.
Yeah. And we wondered if we would fill 30 minutes.
Well, usually, like you said, moving forward, we're going to have, both of us.
We're going to have some guests.
And then we're going to have some guests. And, I'm going to put it out there, and I always do. If anybody's interested in being a part of the show, of the Time to Shine Happening show, or just, having an interview on the Diamond Factor Network. Well, I call it network. Wow. that must be, I'm going to be talking in in the future.
Exactly.
Please reach out to me, and we'll get you on, like I said, this show, or, just if you want your own one-on-one interviews. I do those on Thursdays and Fridays. And just to make sure, like I said, to spotlight and to have more visibility for you, so people get to know who you are. People need to know who you are. Yeah,
and that's what it all comes down to get your message out there, to make your difference in the world.
Yeah, and why not come on the Time to Shine Happy show? See, me and Barbara have so much fun together, so you can have fun with us.
Exactly.
Okay, Ms. Barr, any last words from you, lady, before we sign off for today?
Oh, just be happy. It's a choice. It's a choice, and some days you're not. Sunday morning, I woke up and the devil was just trying to make me crazy. But then it was like, Barbara, if I was a client, what would I be telling me? What would I be telling them?
You got to go back to that.
Go back to basics. Who are you? What do you love about your life? Be grateful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if the only thing that you're grateful for right at that moment is that you have a pillow under your head.
Good.
And for me, I get in the shower and it's thank you, Lord, for running hot water.
Oh, that's heaven alone. That's heaven. That's heaven alone. Yes.
Well, I'll have to tell you the story of my grandmother. She was born in 1887. One day
I said she was with the rules.
Oh, they had to haul the water, stoke the stove. Oh yeah. And we think nothing of flipping a switch and pulling out a dial.
Yeah. And then when it goes out, we freak out. And I think about what you just said with your grant, how they had to deal with, there was no switches. I mean, they had to make sure. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. We have to be grateful we have to always be so grateful for what we have.
No matter what you are going through, there's always something to be grateful for.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay, lady. Well, we did it. Like I said, I'm so excited. So next week we come on every Tuesday morning.
8 a.m.
time. Yes. 8. Yeah. Thank you for that. And I always tell people they got to figure out all the other time zones.
Time zones.
I can't go down the list of all the other ones. I'm just doing the 2 main ones right now, Central and Eastern. So see us next Tuesday, Barbara. It's always a pleasure. So awesome to be with you.
So fun.
And I know we're going to have so much fun being on the new network. And just to let everybody know, we're here on Tuesdays. So we'll see you next Tuesday. And like Barbara always say, make happiness the norm in your life. Right. The norm.
Exactly.
See you later, lady.
See you later.